I realize more and more that talk is cheap. I mean, obviously, you hear that, you hear people say it, but to really know it is a different thing. No matter how, first of all, I've been doing this bullshit. I've been doing this stuff for some time now. Years and years. I don't remember when I started, but somewhere between 5 and 10 years. If I had to say exactly, ballpark estimate, 7 or 8 years. I've been doing this on and off. So all things considered, it's taken me quite some time to realize this. And I've known it. I mean, I've known it. I've caught glimpses of it, but I've never really wanted to accept it. No matter how eloquent or elegant your speech is, your words are, talk is cheap. Words are nothing more than words, and they are powerful, don't get me wrong. They can make things happen, but nothing motivates like action. Nothing motivates action like action. And yeah, words can do all these things that they do, but there has to be something behind them. Action motivates, and a good example motivates even more. Sometimes that example can be relatively free of action, maybe even devoid of action. Sometimes a good example can be in the form of not doing something that you're not supposed to do, because that someone who could be influenced by your choices is watching. Or maybe you don't know that somebody's watching, but you just know that it's the right thing. A good example is a lot more powerful than any word or any set of words put together, set in conjunction with one another. But it's one of the hardest things, isn't it? Precisely because talk is cheap. Talk is easy. I can go on here and record some stuff, maybe post it, maybe not. And by the way, that's one thing, I try to follow through on the things that I do. If I'm going to invest my time and effort, energy, and there is time and effort being invested here, even if it doesn't seem that way. I'm just, I'm sitting on a plastic chair out in the open, and just running my mouth. But that's time that can be spent on something else. That is effort, believe it or not. That is effort that can be spent on something else. Those few calories that move this mouth, these lips, and these vocal cords, they could be used for something else. But the time more than anything, really. I try to follow through on things. If I'm gonna put the time in to record something, I try to not let it sit in my phone or iPad for a long time and then just never get around to it, because it usually will just, in most cases, it'll just be there. And I'll never get around to even deleting it. So I have a process, right? If I record something, as little as this may seem, it's impactful to me. If I record something, I set about posting it right away. Even if it can be a little bit cumbersome sometimes, I post it right away. I post it on YouTube and on Instagram. Those are the two platforms I use at this point in time. And as soon as that's done, I delete it. It's a small thing, but a small action like that communicates to me that that I believe that if a thing is worth doing, it is worth doing thoroughly, and it is worth doing right. Small, again, as this thing may be, these small choices, they influence the entirety of your life. When you go out of your way with the right things, it does have an impact. It sets off a reaction of sorts, especially when you build a habit of it. When you go out of your way with the right things, you let yourself know that some things are worth spending a little bit more time on. If there's a good reason. With the right things, of course, like I said. Sorry. You can't be complicating everything you do. You have to know how to prioritize. You have to know how to pick and choose what's important, what requires a little bit of extra effort, and what requires something a little more cursory, a little more surface level. Now, anyway, with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up now. That being said, I'm gonna try to stop coming on here too much. So I'm gonna, if things aren't being posted, they're probably not being recorded. I'm gonna hold myself to that. I'm gonna try not to come on here too much. I'm gonna try to follow what I opened this video with. This idea that actions are a lot more impactful and a lot more valuable than words. Coming on here and speaking feels nice sometimes. Feels like it accomplishes something, but in all reality, it probably doesn't accomplish very much for me or for anybody. Even for the people that sit through the entirety of my videos. I don't believe it. I mean that. I'm not trying to say something in the hopes of being contradicted. I really believe it. I sincerely do believe, as I said, throughout, or at least implied throughout the length of this video, that words are just words. And although they can be impactful in good and bad ways, they will always pale when compared to action. And if you have the choice between the two, I think what I'm saying right now is that the choice is clear in most cases. And if you have the option of one or the other, then action is probably going to be your best bet in most cases. More doing and less talking